G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here. In today's video, we're going to be fitting arguably the best coilovers money can buy to my 1999 Honda Civic budget build project. We're starting to step up our game now, and we're going to swap out some of our cheap eBay suspension for some nice new KONI coilovers. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We've finally cracked 10,000 subscribers, so thanks very much for everyone who has subscribed. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, please do. Heaps of content coming out, game changes happening soon, and all to benefit you guys at home. So if you're into Hondas, definitely subscribe. We've got some big things coming in the future. But in today's video, the whole reason why we're here and you're clicking on this video is we're upgrading the suspension in my budget EK. Now, those of you that have been around on the channel for a long time know this car. It started out as a $1,000 green, one owner manual Civic with a D16 Y4 in it. I've turboed it, Vitara built it, painted it myself with a rattle can, done all sorts of stuff. Most of the parts I've been putting into this car have been bought through eBay, so lots of eBay budget build stuff. Starting to step the game up now. We've cracked 10,000 subs, so I'm starting to do maybe not quite budget and not balling out builds, but still middle of the road. But we are stepping up our game in some areas. I want this car to be fast and I want it to handle, and it was definitely both of those things, but now it's going to be a whole lot faster. And it did handle really, really well. It actually had some Max Peating Rods budget coilovers in there. They've been in there since the day I got the car registered. They were the first mod that I ever did to the car. I've had it registered now for 2 years. I've done about 5 or 6 track days on them, street driving, all that sort of stuff, daily driving, and they're absolutely perfect. I was not looking to upgrade or change them at all. I was walking around through Melbourne, minding my own business. I happened to walk past Top Performance, KONI. So they are the distributors of KONI Australia. And in Melbourne, there's heaps and heaps of main factories, distribution centres and head offices for buildings. It's a lot cheaper than living in Sydney. So a lot of the ports down here in Melbourne is where all the goods come into the country. So they all set up their head offices here. I happen to be walking past, had a chat to one of the guys, shout out to Trung and Glenn, and basically talking about coilovers. They asked me what kind of car I drove. I told them I have a Honda Civic, and unbeknownst to me, I turned out to be in the right place at the right time, and I got the last pair, possibly one and only pair of these coilovers in the entire country. They told me that these retail for just over $3,000. So that is by far the most expensive coilovers I think on the market that you can get. They are all European built, designed, tested, all that sort of stuff. They've come out on stock standard on just about every production race car that you can get throughout history. A lot of racing pedigree here with KONI shocks. I actually run them in my daily work ute as well, and they're really awesome. So we certainly weren't looking for these. And like I said, I happened to be in the right place at the right time. These coilovers, these shock set that they had on the shelf is the only set they have in the country. They're actually discontinued into Australia. So if you're looking for these, you won't be able to find them in Australia. You'll have to look overseas, or if you make enough noise and hassle your local KONI distributor enough, maybe you'll be able to get them to start bringing them back in again. If you do, definitely mention my name. You'll get a good seat. And yeah, maybe we can start getting these back into the country, but I'm going to be testing them out on my car. Hopefully they go low enough, because these are a standard shock replacement with coilovers attached to them. You actually need to use the stock strut tops, and we're going to go through all of the stuff that I did to get these ready, and I'm going to chuck them in the car. Now, unfortunately, I can't set the ride height just yet because there's no engine in the car. I need to get the weight of the engine in there to see where the suspension's going to sit. But I've had these on my shelf for about a month now, and I wanted to chuck them in, so I'll bring you guys along for the ride. We've got a full set front and rear. I've just put them all together I'll throw a couple of clips of that in soon and what I've done. Luckily for me, I have a few sets of the factory strut tops laying around, which is the metal piece on top of there. I didn't want to go and put 30-year-old bushes in the top of there, so I went to KYB, just happened to be walking past KYB, got a set of these, KM 5058s. Now these are the same bushes that they use front to rear, so you'll need 4 of these. They're really, really cheap. Best thing to do is grab those and swap over the bushes. So I've got brand new bushes in here, all new hardware, washers and everything. And then the brand new coilovers for KONI, the only set in the country. So I'm gonna rip out my beloved Max PD coilovers. They have served me really, really well. There they are there. I've got the old red design, but we're gonna go ahead and whip those out, swap the new ones in now, and everything will bolt up exactly like factory because they're exact factory replacement. We'll get them on the car. I'll come back to you in a moment. I'm not going to show you the install because I've done it a million times on this channel. Plus it's hot today. I'm going to crank the fan. You won't be able to hear anything. Pump up some music, shake my booty around and get these things installed. Like I said earlier, you do need to remove the stock strut tops from your factory suspension. I've already gone ahead and done the first 3. But there's a little bit of action, a little bit of drama. Thought I'd share it with you. Do not try this at home. I don't have spring compressors. I'm a trained professional. Don't try this at home. God damn! So the next thing you'll want to do is remove the old, crusty 20, 30-year-old bushes that are out at the top of the strut tops. So what I did with this is I've already popped out the first 3. Simply grab anything. I'm using just a screwdriver, pop it out the bottom, pop that out the top, and there you go. Now I also just happened to be walking past KYB and I managed to pick myself up some strut tops. These aren't very expensive, a few bucks each, KSM 5058. It's actually the same part number for all 4 of those rubbers. So you just need to grab yourself 4 of those, and there's everything you get in the kit. Some instructions with a QR code, but it's pretty simple. Just the reverse of the removal. So I'm going to do that to all 4 of these. Basically, put a bush in the top, bush in the bottom, slide the metal pin through, and then you've got 2 brand new washers ready to go. And just like that, KONIs are in, Max PDs are out, and they will be for sale on Marketplace soon. From the top of the engine bay, everything looks like it's got stock OEM shocks in there. But here we are here with the Big Daddy KONIs. Now they're all the way down. I pretty much think I'm just gonna run some preload on the springs once I've got the engine in the car and leave them maxed out. The way the car was set up with the max peding rods in there, these ones were just slightly higher as far as the lengths they're set, so I'll keep them at that, see how I go. If they don't get the car low enough, then I'll probably be looking at some shock works, because I don't want to go back to cheapies, but they look absolutely awesome. And they fit exactly just like a stock OEM shock. So basically, What they do with these is they get a stock OEM shock replacement, re-valve it for the sports and performance market, and then they put the sleeve over the top with the collars there for the coilover adjustment, and then some really nice progressive rate springs. So you can see they're tapered at the bottom, and they get more dense up the top. So these are what you call a progressive rate spring. Same on the front of the car. So that should definitely iron out all the bumps, be nice and smooth and soft, but then cornering hard, it will firm up and be nice and stiff. So that's exactly what you want. Just up here in the engine bay, at the very, very top of the strut, they have an adjustment. Now that adjustment is done by this dude here, and just keep that in the car somewhere. Put it on the top, there's a little, like a socket there for it, and you've only got 3 turns to maximum adjustment. I've put it onto 1 turn towards firm. Once we get the car rolling, running and driving, I can then adjust that up and down as I need to, but at the moment all 4 corners are just on 1 full turn, so that's 1/3 of the way towards full adjustment. Now you can do 1/4 of a turn, 1/5 of the turn, 1/10 of the turn, and you can have up to an infinite number of adjustments there, but as far as full turns go, there's only 3, so you just got to remember that. Over to my engine for some more updates. We've got some more bits and pieces to go on there. I'm just going to finish up the fuel lines. I've got some more fittings. I went through to Raceworks and got the fitting for here, which is a dash 8 fitting. I'll run that to my catch can. We've got Iverson over there having a snooze. So what we've used is a M14 1.5 metric thread male flare to an 8AN fitting, so that will run to my catch can. I did get one for the water port jacket here on the top, but silly me, fat fingers, I must have pushed M14 instead of M16. So it's M16 with a 1.5 thread with a 1/8 NPT fitting on there, so I can run the sensor out the top. Alrighty, the fuel lines so far from the tank to the engine bay are done. I'm just waiting on, I need to get another nut cert in this thread. I need to get a whole box full of those because I'm using heaps of them, and then they will press up against there like so. We'll have the fuel feed, fuel return. Once the engine and everything's in and I've got my turbo placed somewhere here, then I'll be able to figure out where I'm going to put my fuel pressure regulator, but it's going to be somewhere over here out of the road. And then underneath here are my fuel lines. So I've got all these really awesome billet Raceworks fittings, aluminium hard line, which I've all flared and put all the fittings on myself. Every single fitting here is all Raceworks stuff, all the way right back to the tank. Now I have it on good authority that these -6 lines, the Walbro 460 that's in the tank, and -6 lines all the way through on E85 is more than enough fuel to run 7, maybe 800 horsepower through this thing. I did have someone come around to my shop. They didn't introduce themselves. They were just here with someone else, and they were telling me my 1150cc injectors were too small, my -6 fuel lines were too small, and my fuel pump was too small, and it wasn't going to flow anything more than 300 kilowatts. And I was, you know, a bit worried, I'll be honest. So I made a few calls, checked around, spoke directly to Raceworks. They were happy to help me out and let me know that that person had no clue what they were talking about. But here we are. This is where we're up to with the motor. I've got the Raceworks turbo beanie on there. That's just dummied up for now. It's got to come on and off once we put the turbo on and off the car. What I'm going to do is run fuel in here, pressurize the line, come out, and then over somewhere here, maybe behind the turbo, or if I can make a bracket somewhere down here, I'm going to put the fuel pressure reg. So in, around, out. I've got this breather fitting here, which is pretty difficult to see, but That's a Raceworks fitting there. Again, it's M14 by 1.5 metric thread, and then you can run whatever size dash fitting you want there. These are all dash 8s, so what I'm going to do is run a dash 8 line under here and then sort of Y-piece it into my catch can. Haven't decided if the catch can is going to go over this side of the engine bay or that side of the engine bay just yet, but either way, this is movable. I can spin this around and point the fittings off to that side if I want to run it there or keep it how it is. I also got the drain line plumbed up there. It looks like it's going to do the job just fine. There's no pressure there, it's just basically dribbling oil out and it will flow back into the fitting that I've got on the side just fine. But that's it for this car on this episode today. I've got 2 more episodes that I need to shoot today so I can have plenty of content for you guys. One thing I wanted to point out how cool these KONIs are is they even come with some Gerwinder spray, which is some spray that you spray on the threads just to stop them getting rusty or caked in dirt and stuff. So I've put that on already. My sick KONI coilovers. So they're all lubed up and ready to rock and roll. That's going to be sick there with the fuel line fittings. Easy access to change the fuel filter. Serviceable cartridge in there. So before I start the car, I've just got to make sure these are all nipped up. It's just, you know, dummied in for now. I even use the Raceworks fittings to keep the brake lines in place that I've put on. But until next time, thanks for watching. Don't forget to spool up, use your Gerwinder spray, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.